Hello everybody, my name is Nick Barrett. I'm with the Washington Center for Internships and Academic Seminars. We are an academic nonprofit institution that focuses on two things, first of which is semester-long internship programs in the Washington, D.C. area. And the second is short-term academic seminars focused on special topics. Before I continue, I want to hand out a few things. First of which is a sign-up sheet. If you want more information, feel free to sign up, and we'll just kind of contact you with any kind of updates we have of our programs or any other things you might be interested in. The other thing is I have a handout for every one of you. You can take it back to your gym, check out our website, and see what you think. So let's talk first about internships. If I were going to ask you, why do you need an internship? You could probably give me some good ideas, right? You probably have a good guess. First of which, most likely, is you want to test drive your career. You want to make sure that what you're studying right now is what you want to work on in the rest of your life. The second is you want to put into practice everything you're doing in the classroom today, right? And get some practical experience on your resume so that you have that practical experience when you move into the job market. But I want to share a couple numbers with you. We're in a very special time right now, especially with regards to the economy. So if I were to ask you in May of 2009, what percentage of students graduating college got a job right out of school, what would you say? Maybe 80%. It's actually 19%. That's approximately 1 in 5 students. And if I were going to ask you, of those 1 in 5 students, those 20% or so that got a job right out of school, what do they all have in common? 90% of them had at least an internship, at least one, if not multiple internships. So keep that in mind. It's very obvious that that's kind of a competitive, very much a competitive experience that you should need to have if you're going to get that job right out of school. So I've kind of talked about why you should intern. I mean, that's a pretty easy sell. The question is, though, why should you intern with the Washington Center? Washington Center internships are 3 main things that I want to point out. 1, they're tailored to your experiences and your academic background. 2, they're well supported. And 3, they're substantive. Okay, we want to make sure that internships are all those things. So let's talk first about well supported. When you apply to the Washington Center, you're going to be assigned an advisor. And it's that advisor's job to help you find an internship that is related to your experience. That's the second option, right? We're tailored to your academic experience and your academic interests. So they work with you on a regular basis to make sure that you're finding that job. They also make sure that it's applicable to what you're studying. The third thing, is they want to make sure that it's substantive. We want to make sure that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is going to give you practical experience. That means that 80% or so of the internship we want to say is equivalent to an entry-level position. Okay, so keep that in mind. And if that happens to not be the case, if you get placed in an internship that doesn't really do that for you, you're not getting that good experience, we will move you. That's our guarantee. Okay. So we talked a little bit about why the Washington Center. I'm going to go a little bit more deeper into what options are there right now. So the good news is the Washington Center works with all sectors in Washington, D.C. Be that the nonprofit sector, the international sector, the private sector, and the public sector. So we have a lot of options. A couple of good examples: if you're a finance major, you might be placed at Merrill Lynch. If you're an international affairs major, you might be placed at the One campaign that focuses on African development issues. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of options. If you're an engineer, even, you might even be placed at the Federal Aviation Administration or the Department of Defense. So keep all that in mind. So the other thing is, what is the value out of the Washington Center? What do you get out of it more than just a placement intern? In what way are we more than just a placement organization? And the good news is that when you come to the Washington Center, we're trying to make sure that you get an all-around experience and kind of get an idea of what DC is in totality. Okay, and in that way, we do a couple things. First of all, you're going to hear speakers that are directly related to your major and your interests. Speakers and attend events that they're kind of similar and kind of get you an in-depth idea of what is your major and what you can do in DC. The second are just kind of more generic speakers and activities that are going to be more substantive, more substantial rather. And these are going to be on things like leadership and professional achievement. You're also going to take a class with us, so you're not going to have to miss out on classes while you're away from campus. And you're going to do things like go to meetings on Capitol Hill with your representatives, etc. So we talked a little bit about why the Washington Center. I think that's a pretty obvious thing. We have a lot of value out there. There's a lot of things to keep in mind that we can provide to you. The question is, can I make that happen? So it's fine and dandy I should intern. It's great that I should intern at the Washington Center, but there's got to be a catch here. And the truth is, there's a couple things. So first of all, if you're thinking about interning in Washington, D.C., that housing is always an issue. Finding safe and affordable housing in the District of Columbia is difficult to do. The good thing is that the Washington Center guarantees, through our housing department, suitable housing for every student that's accepted into the Washington Center. You're going to be living with other professionals, other interns. You'll be living in fully furnished apartments that are pretty accessible to the metro and accessible to the city. So it's easy sell. The second thing is, with regards to how does it work with regards to credit, with regards to tuition, and everything that goes along with that. If you are interning during the fall or spring semester, you're going to receive 12 credit hours here at Truman State University. If you're interning during the summer, you're going to receive 9 credit hours. Okay? That translates into you being a full-time student. You are enrolled as a Truman State University student. That means that you're still able to apply all financial aid that you're getting here at Truman. And on top of that, the good news is if you're a fall or spring semester student, that means if you're coming during the fall or spring semester, you pay your normal Truman tuition, and that is then forwarded, a portion of that comes to then the Washington Center to cover your fees at the Washington Center. That means that with regards to tuition, you're paying no more for your time in DC than you would for your time here at Truman. Now, of course, if you're considering coming during the summer, that's going to be an additional fee, because most likely you weren't taking classes during the summer. But the Washington Center is a comparable program to any study abroad program or any other additional extracurricular program that you might take. And we can usually make things work. On top of all that, I want to kind of mention a couple things. If you still don't think you can make this work, if money is just an issue, you're concerned about living in Washington D.C. compared to Kirksville, Missouri, and it's just not really going to be that comparable. We do have other financial awards that we can provide to you to kind of help things out, including a Civic Engagement Award that starts at $1,000. We have a Diversity Leaders Award that for students from diverse backgrounds that are very active here on campus for starting at $3,000. So keep all that in mind, because there's definitely options out there to kind of help defray some of the costs and make it a lot more attainable for some of you. So keep that in mind. Before I leave, I'm about done. I'm about ready to kind of let you guys go back to your test. I want to point out a couple other things. If you're thinking about interning, but you really don't think that Washington, D.C. is the place to be right now, I'd really encourage you to check out our intern abroad programs. We have options in Sydney, Australia, and London and Oxford, England. So keep those up. They're a little bit different than our regular programs, but check out our website and you can see some of those differences and where you might intern and what kind of programs you'd be involved in. The other thing I want to point out is our academic seminars. If you can't get away from campus for a 10-week or a 15-week period, then come for 2 weeks, and you can come and take advantage of our seminars. They're usually 1 to 2 weeks long, and they're focused on special topics. A couple of the upcoming seminars are going to focus on politics and the media, international conflicts, or even national security issues. So check those out online. They're very easy. Kind of gives you an idea of where you might start, okay, and what options exist out there. Before I go, I want to point out a couple other things. First of all, I'm going to be in an information session today at 3 o'clock in Bridewell Hall 1223. If you want to kind of get more information and find out exactly what our programs can do for you and your background and your experiences, please stop by and I'll go into a lot more depth and can spend more time with you. The other thing is check out our website at twc.edu. There's info@twc.edu for any questions you might have. And then also here on campus is your liaison is Diane Johnson. Stop by, her email address is there. She's kind of the specialist with all this and makes this all happen for you. Thanks so much. Let me know if you have any other questions.